In 1945, the city of Berlin lay in ruins, its skyline swallowed by smoke and silence. The final days of the war had reduced entire neighborhoods to dust and ash. Families fled into the underground tunnels, seeking safety from artillery and air raids. The once bustling subways became dark shelters filled with fear and whisper. People huddled beside tracks, clutching bags of what little they had left. The echoes of war above became the heartbeat of the city below. It wasn't just a fight for survival, it was the start of a new underground world. Berlin's forgotten tunnels would soon tell stories of both despair and resilience, and as the Reich crumbled, life below began its own battle against the end of hope. Down there, the war never truly stopped, it simply changed form. When the bombs fell, people ran not toward the future, but beneath it. Subway entrances became gates to survival, leading deep into Berlin's veins. Families dragged mattresses, food tins, and hope down the steps. The tunnels reeked of sweat, oil, and fear. Children cried in the darkness. Mothers whispered lullabies to drown out the thunder of explosions. The rails, once carrying passengers, now supported the weight of human desperation. Down here, time lost meaning. The outside world was just a rumor. Every rumble overhead could mean another building gone or another friend lost. Yet even in the dark, small acts of kindness lit faint sparks of humanity. The underground had become both refuge and prison. Within weeks, the tunnels transformed into improvised settlements. Wooden planks became walls. Blankets hung for privacy. Electric cables flickered as engineers tried to restore faint glimmers of light. A fragile community formed among strangers. There were barbers, nurses, even musicians among the survivors. They created small systems, shared food, guarded water, whispered prayers. Some painted signs to mark sections of tunnels, families, wounded, supplies. Children played with pebbles, as if they were toys. Amid despair, life persisted in its simplest, purest form. The underground had become Berlin's hidden city of survival. The ground above was a wasteland of silence, punctured by war. Each explosion shook the ceiling, dust raining over sleeping families. They could feel the city dying above them, one block at a time. Those underground became attuned to sound the rhythm of destruction. The rumble of tanks meant advancing armies, the whine of bombs, another raid. Even footsteps above felt heavy with fate. They learned to read these sounds like weather. When the noise faded, people climbed cautiously to search for food. Some never returned, swallowed by collapsed buildings. For those left behind, silence became more terrifying than war itself. When Germany surrendered, the war ended, but not underground. Berliners emerged cautiously into daylight that felt foreign and cruel. The city was gone, bridges twisted, rivers choked with debris. Some stayed below, unwilling to face the devastation. For them, the bunkers were safer than freedom. The ruins above offered no homes, no food, no certainty. The underground shelters became post-war homes. Russians patrolled above, rationing began, and chaos reigned. Those beneath the surface watched history reset from the shadows. Berlin's tunnels were now scars that refused to close. With Soviet troops controlling the city, fear took new forms. Searches and interrogations were constant, driving more people underground. Bunkers became safe havens from looting and uncertainty. Families painted red stars on walls to appear compliant. Others hid signs of former German service to avoid punishment. The tunnels became echo chambers of paranoia and quiet resistance. Some used them to smuggle supplies or to find missing loved ones. The subways carried whispers of rebellion carefully, fearfully. Every candle burned became a symbol of survival. Berlin's underground was now both shelter and secret. Food became more valuable than gold. People traded anything: jewelry, uniforms, even memories for bread. In the tunnels, hunger gnawed louder than the echoes of war. Soup was made from weeds, rats, or leftover military rations. Children learned to beg silently, eyes hollow and wide. Mothers hid scraps to feed their young before themselves. The darkness magnified suffering, yet it also built resilience. Neighbors shared morsels with strangers, saving one another quietly, even in despair. Songs were whispered to soothe the starving. Hope survived in the sound of a shared spoon scraping a pot. In those moments, humanity reclaimed its meaning. Underground, Berliners rediscovered compassion through starvation. With the war over, a new economy rose in the dark. Cigarettes, canned food, and soap became underground currency. The tunnels turned into black market corridors. Traders moved under curfew, swapping goods in whispers. Russian soldiers sometimes joined the trade themselves. Everything had a price, especially silence. Old uniforms became coats, maps became wallpaper. The subway, once a war shelter, now pulsed with quiet commerce. Fake documents and ration cards changed hands beneath flickering lights. Desperation blurred the line between survival and crime. It was dangerous, but necessary for survival. Berlin's underground was once again alive with shadows of trade. Not everyone made it back to the surface. Some stayed hidden for weeks, months, even years. The war had ended, but trauma still held them captive below. There were stories of missing soldiers wandering the tunnels. Some claimed to hear footsteps at night when no one was there. The line between memory and ghost blurred. The tunnels became silent, cemeteries for the forgotten. Old graffiti marked dates of despair. April 1945, still alive. Rusting helmets and broken lamps still lay where lives once paused. Whispers of the lost echoed through dripping walls and stale air. Even now, explorers say the silence feels almost alive. For historians, these marks became human fingerprints of suffering. Each wall carried a name history nearly erased. Many children were born beneath Berlin. They opened their eyes not to sunlight, but to candlelight. Their lullabies were the rumbles of the ruined city above. For them, the underground was normal home. They played with tin cans, drew on tunnel walls, and learned to survive early. Some didn't see the sky until they were toddlers. When peace finally settled, these children became living archives. They spoke of shadows as friends and the dark as comfort. Their innocence gave Berlin its first reason to rebuild. From beneath the ruins, new life had quietly begun. Some of them later became storytellers. Preserving the unseen word, their memories bridged the gap between despair and rebirth. In their laughter, Berlin found the echo of hope returning. As East and West Berlin emerged, the tunnels gained new meanings. Some lay beneath Soviet sectors, others under Allied zones. They became hidden pathways between two worlds. Refugees and smugglers used them to cross unseen. For many, the underground remained the only route to freedom. Every tunnel carried both danger and hope. Maps were drawn in secret, passed from hand to hand. Guards patrolled entrances, but people always found new ways. The old war shelters now played a part in a new Cold War. History repeated, just deeper underground. Whispers of escape plans echoed where bombs once fell. Entire families vanished through cracks in the city's foundation. Berlin's veins of concrete became arteries of defiance. Years later, when peace returned, the tunnels were rediscovered. Archaeologists and journalists unearthed belongings, graffiti and memories. Rusty stoves, children's shoes, and broken toys told forgotten stories. For some survivors, visiting these tunnels felt like reopening wounds. For others, it was a way to honor those who never came back. The air still smelled faintly of smoke and sorrow. Berlin's underground became a living museum of endurance. Every brick seemed to whisper, "We survived." The silence below had finally found its voice. The war had ended, but memory refused to fade. Tour guides now lead visitors through corridors of history and heartbreak. Each tunnel is a monument carved by time, not stone. The echoes of footsteps remind all who enter of life's fragility. In the depths, Berlin's past and present still meet in quiet remembrance. Today, parts of those tunnels are preserved as memorials. Tourists walk paths once crowded with refugees and fear. Guides tell stories of courage, hunger, and survival. Photographs and diaries fill museums across Berlin. They reveal how the city rebuilt itself from beneath. Every survivor's tale adds a new layer to Berlin's memory. The bunkers are no longer prisons, they are lessons. Their walls remind us what darkness can create when hope refuses to die. Candles now light the same corners once shadowed by despair. Students visit to learn not just history, but humanity. Each whisper of the past guides a new generation toward peace. Berlin's spirit, buried for years, rose again through remembrance. The underground became part of the city's soul. The people who lived underground weren't just survivors, they were teachers. Their endurance showed that humanity can exist even in the darkest places. They built a society in shadows and kept kindness alive. Their story warns against war's destruction and celebrates resilience. The tunnels were not symbols of defeat, but of endurance. They carried the weight of a city's rebirth. Modern Berlin stands tall because of the courage beneath it. What was once rubble is now remembrance. From ashes and tunnels, hope emerged stronger, and history continues to echo. Through those silent halls, artists now paint murals inspired by their unseen heroism. Writers and filmmakers keep their legacy alive for future generations. The underground's spirit reminds the world that light can be born from darkness. Today, trains run again through those same tunnels. Where once there was fear, now there is movement, life, and sound. Passengers pass unknowingly over layers of buried history. Each rumble of the subway is a heartbeat of rebirth. Berlin's underground no longer hides pain, it carries life, but those who remember still feel the echoes in the dark.